Hello, and welcome to my CP Online subtype interview series. Today, I'm going to do an introduction for the Type 7 subtypes. So, what are the three Type 7 subtypes like? Well, the self-preservation 7 is a 7 who's very practical and pragmatic. This is a 7 who really focuses on getting needs met, usually through a network of allies or connections, a good mafia. This is a 7 who is really good at getting needs met, making things happen, finding resources and opportunities, someone who really knows how to navigate the practical realities of life to get what they need. Also, the self-preservation 7 is one of the most self-interested of the subtypes of all 27. And this might sound negative, but actually it simply means that this is someone who's very oriented toward their inner experience, what they need and want, finding ways to have pleasure or different opportunities to get what they need. So it's a way of tuning into themselves and what they want, and then navigating practical reality in creative ways, in optimistic ways, and just manifesting different things for themselves and the people around them. Also, the self-preservation 7 is a 7 that lacks empathy sometimes. It's a little bit the other side of that, being very self-focused and focused on making practical things happen in life to get what they need. And so they can sometimes not put other people in the picture as much, can really focus on what they want and making what they want to happen manifest. And, of course, also not being limited by the outside, not being limited or controlled by others, being able to kind of maneuver freely or go where they want and taste what they want and experience what they want. So the social 7 is the countertype of the three Type 7 subtypes. And this is a countertype that goes against gluttony. So if gluttony is a little bit of a way of, wanting more for yourself, potentially that ends up happening, that it leaves less for others. The social 7 is a type that kind of deep inside, maybe unconsciously, decides to go against that and be someone who is be someone who dedicates their life to serving others, or especially to alleviating pain in others or in the world out there. So the social 7 is someone who also doesn't want to feel pain. And remember, Type 7s habitually move toward what's positive and pleasurable, enjoyable, as a way of unconsciously avoiding any kind of pain or discomfort out of a fear that if they give into that or open up to it, they will be stuck in it forever. But the social 7 almost wants to be seen as a good person, a pure person. So there's a gluttony for being seen as good. And so they go against that selfish tendency that's behind the self-interest, that's behind the gluttony. And they decide to be someone who is going to make everyone happy, to make the world a better place, to achieve a kind of utopia on earth. It's a sense of, if we all pitch in and do what's good for other people, then everyone will be happier. But it's also a person who sometimes chooses a path in life or a career that is one in which they can do things in the world to alleviate pain. For instance, being a doctor or a nurse or a psychotherapist, or someone who is there in a hospice process when they're helping people get through particularly difficult times in their life. So this is a 7 that can have a little bit of an inner conflict inside, both knowing what they want and wanting to pursue it, but also kind of going against that and saying, well, I'll take a smaller piece of cake so you can have more. So it's the social 7 can actually look like a 2, whereas the self-preservation 7 looks a little bit more 6-ish, in that they tend to be a little more in touch with fear and anxiety, whereas the social 7 is a bit more of an enthusiastic, gregarious person who can really bring a lot of energy to lifting up the experience of the people around them in social settings, and almost be like everyone needs to be helping everyone have a good time in that spirit, but also wanting to be good, wanting to be pure, sacrificing their own needs for an ideal of pleasure or being a good person. So the 1-to-1 or the sexual 7 is a whole other kind of 7 again, and this is a 7 that's kind of opposite to the self-preservation 7. The 1-to-1 7 is a 7 who is more of an idealist or a dreamer that lives in their imagination, that lives in their mind and a picture of the way the world could be if everything was fantastic. So almost like seeing life through rose-colored glasses, seeing life through the lens of someone who's in love, who's seeing everything as good as it could possibly be. But the sexual 7 is a 7 that sometimes doesn't want to look at sort of stark ordinary reality, that would rather kind of focus on an intensely positive vision of how life could be and not always get in touch with the practical realities of daily life, almost as a way to avoid having to feel the pain that might just be there in any given moment. There's a way that sexual 7s can have a kind of intensity in wanting to have a positive experience of life. The names are fascination or suggestibility, and suggestibility means easy to hypnotize. So this is a 7 that really wants to see the world as a positive place, and so can be naive or can be talked into things because they want to believe the best, and they sometimes don't always see the dangers or the threats or the negative possibilities because they're so much in a view of the world as an optimistic, positive place. So those are the 3 7s, and I hope you can see the differences. And this has been my subtype interview series that is coming to you on CP Online. And after this, you can see my interviews with 6 people of different subtypes of type 7.